Every state and the federal government has different ways of designating classes of crimes. Felonies are serious offenses and misdemeanors less serious. Within those two categories, there may be additional distinctions identified by degrees, such as a felony of the first degree, or levels, such as an A misdemeanor. There are 5 levels of felonies in Texas and 3 levels of misdemeanors identified in the Texas Penal Code. Pause the screencast to review each level or review Penal Code Chapter 12. In addition to these, there are several notable portions of the Penal Code related to offenses and their punishments. First, in regards to a capital felony, which is the only level of offense in Texas in which the punishment is either life in prison without parole or the death penalty, jurors must be informed prior to the start of a trial they will be hearing a capital case, and whether or not the state is seeking the death penalty. Next, in the event of a capital felony, according to the Penal Code, if the defendant was younger than 18 at the time of the offense, then the sentence will be life in prison with parole. This is due to a U.S. Supreme Court decision which declared the death penalty for those younger than 18 unconstitutional. Finally, if the defendant was older than 18 at the time of the offense, then, if the sentence is not death, in other words, if the prosecutor is not seeking the death penalty, then the sentence upon a finding of guilt will automatically be life in prison without parole. Other codes in Texas, for instance, the Transportation Code, may indicate offenses without indicating the offense level. In this case, the Penal Code indicates the punishment in prison or in jail or by fine will match the guidelines set in the Penal Code. So, for instance, if you see a fine no greater than $200 in the Transportation Code, the offense would be considered a C misdemeanor, even though a C misdemeanor can go up to a fine of no greater than $500. Another example, if you see a term of confinement no less than 3 years, the offense would likely be classified as a felony of the third degree, since the punishment range for a felony 3 is 2 to 10 years. There are multiple enhancement situations in the Penal Code. For example, a hate crime will enhance the level of the offense by 1 level, unless the offense is an A misdemeanor, in which case the offense remains an A misdemeanor, but the minimum time in jail becomes 180 days. Or unless the offense is a felony of the first degree. An offense may never be enhanced from a felony of the first degree to a capital felony. Another set of enhancements found in the Penal Code include increased penalties for certain offenses committed in a disaster area declared by the President of the United States, the Governor of Texas, or certain other government officials. There is also a section in Penal Code Section 12 which allows for a sentence to be reduced. Among county jail inmate populations, it is commonly known as a 1244 or a 1244A after the Penal Code statute and could be a much hoped-for reprieve from a sentence in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division. This statute allows for a state jail felony to be punished as an A misdemeanor in the county jail. This saves time and money by allowing the defendant to complete a short sentence in the county jail rather than the same short sentence in a state jail facility. It's fair to say, however, 1244s are typically reserved for first-time felony offenses, particularly in more conservative jurisdictions. A defendant who has a previous felony conviction is highly unlikely to receive a 1244A offer from a prosecutor. Deadly weapons findings are also important to a defendant. The current Texas parole laws allow for a defendant to be eligible for parole after they have served 1/4 of their total sentence time, or 15 years. Because of this, essentially a life sentence that is not specifically a life sentence without parole is the same as a 60-year sentence. A deadly weapon finding, however, in other words, a finding by the court the defendant used, not just carried, but used a deadly weapon in the offense, elevates the minimum parole eligibility time to 1/2 of the total sentence.